ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you our singing star, Miss Kitty Reed.
Hello world, this is Miss Kitty Reed. After the chaos which was the Kidnapped Amish Baby series, I think it's time for all of us to have a change of pace. So Joss and I are here to discuss Plain Perfect by Beth Wiseman. This is the first book in the Daughters of the Promise series. Lillian Miller is the daughter of Sarah Jane, a woman who left the Amish at 18 and has gone through many boyfriends and poor life choices that have deeply hurt her daughter. Lillian, a 27-year-old high school English teacher, runs away from Texas and her abusive boyfriend to Lancaster County and the Amish grandparents she has not seen in 20 years. Lillian wants a simple life and inner peace and hopes she can find it among the Amish community. On the way to her grandparents' house, Samuel Stoltzfus stops and drives her in his buggy. Samuel's wife died 2 years before, and his 11-year-old son David helps out at Lillian's grandparents' farm. On the farm, Lillian reunites with her grandparents, Jonas and Irma Rose. Jonas is overjoyed to see Lillian, and even though he has cancer, is lively and independent. Irma Rose is apprehensive about Lillian's arrival, as she still struggles with guilt and resentment over Sarah Jane leaving home. Lillian faces a learning curve, trying to gain the skills needed to help her grandmother with her chores. Sparks quickly fly between Lillian and Samuel. Irma Rose is terrified that both their lives will be ruined if they fall in love, but Jonas seems to know nothing can stop love. David firmly believes Lillian will be his new mom. Lillian learns how to do more and more tasks on the Amish farm, but does not want to give up her cell phone, even though its only use is to facilitate confrontations with her mother. Lillian doesn't want to wear Amish dresses, though her jeans bother her grandmother. But the biggest challenge Lillian has is religion. Everyone around her talks of everything being God's will, even Samuel's first wife's death and Jonas's cancer. Lillian did not have a religious upbringing. Lillian agrees to go to church with her grandparents and decides to wear an Amish dress. She never goes back to wearing jeans. Lillian is upset when she learns that Samuel is being pursued by a widow named Sadie, who David disapproves of, because she is not Lillian. Lillian and Samuel continue to spend time together. Sadie and Samuel decide not to date, and she and Lillian even become friends. Lillian takes lessons from her grandmother on the Amish religion, and she struggles to accept many important teachings. However, she persists and starts to believe in God. Lillian's boyfriend Ricky comes to the farm. He belittles her and physically drags her into his car. Samuel somehow gets Ricky to leave, though she never learns how. When Jonas is sick, he thinks Lillian is her mother Sarah Jane. He tells her not to go with the Englishman. Lillian discovers newspapers in the barn with her mother's writing in them. She deduces that the columnist, Daniel Foster, is her father. Sarah Jane unwillingly confirms this. She got pregnant with Lillian at 18, and Daniel said he wanted nothing to do with her and would deny everything if she told anyone. Sarah Jane ran away. Samuel is with Lillian when she finds Daniel at his antique shop and decides to meet him. He assumes she wants money and is mean to her. She is crushed her own father doesn't care about her, but she accepts God's call to forgiveness for Daniel, her mother, and Ricky. Lillian talks with David one day, who says that when he is on his Rumspringa, he wants to drink, smoke, and take risks. Lillian admonishes him, telling him that even though she did many things prohibited by the Amish, they brought her no joy and list the dangers of the outside world. Samuel misinterprets David's version of the conversation, thinking Lillian was encouraging bad behavior and telling David about things he should not know about. He says he doesn't want to speak to her. Sarah Jane calls Lillian, but Jonas answers. Moved by hearing her sick father's voice, she says she will try to come for a visit. Lillian and Irma Rose are doubtful, but Jonas is overjoyed and optimistic. She does in fact come, and the reunited family spends several loving days together. Samuel is at a barn raising and is looking for Lillian to apologize and restart the relationship. She never shows. He learns that Irma Rose has died. He stays by her side through the funeral. Sarah Jane takes over care of Jonas. Lillian and Samuel go on a picnic. Lillian brings along a bag but won't tell Samuel what is in it until after they eat. It is all her worldly possessions. She buries them in a hole and tells Samuel she is going to be baptized. Samuel tries to put in the hole the only picture he has of his first wife, taken by a friend and not approved for him to have. Lillian tells him to keep it, as she never wants he or David to forget her. Samuel proposes, and Lillian says yes. She is happy she made the choice to be Amish before she knew Samuel wanted to marry her, so she knows she did it for love of God. Lillian and Samuel would like for her to live at his farm after they are married, but Jonas cannot live by himself. However, Sarah Jane says she is moving in to take care of Jonas. Lillian is baptized, and so is Sarah Jane. She was never baptized before she left the Amish, but now knows she can only find peace back where she belongs. Lillian gets a letter from Daniel asking her forgiveness for how he treated her and her mother. Lillian and Samuel marry and move to his farm. After some time, Lillian is pregnant with their first child together. She has finally found the peace and simplicity she has always wanted by falling in love with Samuel, the Amish, and God. The end. I liked the idea of this book. A woman becoming Amish and marrying a hot Amish guy is certainly something that would have appeal, especially to readers coming to Amish fiction from other genres. This is the plot most people expect when I tell them I review Amish romance books. In fact, some people cannot understand why the genre is mostly about two Amish people falling in love. They think that would be exceedingly dull. I like it when the writer handles this scenario. Samuel and Lillian had to handle major cultural and religious differences and make sure their initial attraction wasn't making them get carried away. Lillian was going through much upheaval in her personal life and had to work through that separate from her relationship with Samuel. Sarah Jane reconnecting with her parents and turning her life around was wonderful to read about. However, there was something off about this book. The characters felt very flat. There seemed to be very little emotional depth. It almost felt like I was reading the script of a movie, not reading a book where all the emotional connections to the characters must be shown on the page. Characters felt a little too over the top, a little too contrived, a little too like cartoons. Lillian is at one moment supposed to have all this trauma from her upbringing and living with abusive Ricky, being an experienced person who has had to deal with the world, an educated teacher, and then she acts very immature and childish. It makes her feel remote to readers because we don't understand her enough to connect to her as the main character. I wanted to really like this book, but it was not interesting enough for me to feel like I was reading anything but a book for kids. I will give this book a 4 out of 7. Our next book will be Amish Secrets by Marta Perry. See if you can get it from your library or interlibrary loan. This has been Amish Book Club with Miss Kitty Reed. This is Miss Kitty Reed and Joss signing off. See you later on Amish Book Club.
Living in the rhythm that I'm speaking of. You'll be happy in your work if you're in love. You'll be happy in your work if you're in love.